And yes, 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 I still think that was a touchdown, just like everybody here on the chat talking all about it. And welcome into the TexAgs post game wrap. Texas A&M dominates Arkansas 34-22 in a game that could have been a lot worse off for Arkansas, I should say. This show is brought to you by Higginbotham Insurance. You probably only think about insurance when you need it, but at Higginbotham, they think about your risk for you because they want you covered all year long. They start by listening and end with a custom solution that fits your needs and your budget. They do it all: car, home, health, business, and employee insurance. Higginbotham's got you covered. Higginbotham, a place that leads with value so that your value leads. Call Tyler Smith, 979-871-3162, or visit higginbotham.com. All right, guys, so the Miami game, I think for now we can stop talking about it because A&M's defense has done a complete 180. They tackled Jimbo Fisher today in the press conference, talked about the gang tackling. They certainly did that. The 7 sacks. That is 2 weeks in a row with 7 sacks in a game in SEC games, guys. And KJ Jefferson just put a lot of points up on LSU. The defense came out to play. 7 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 30 in the last couple of weeks. The only real issues were early on. Arkansas was able to convert their first few third down conversions, 4 or 5. In that first drive, they were incredible. And A&M was first in the country heading into that game. They made some major adjustments there. Max was pretty good. Max Johnson, speaking of, in the first half, especially that touchdown pass to Evan Stewart. Ainias Smith, oh my goodness, he was huge. So happy to see Ainias dominate and do the big things he did there. What was it, 84-yard punt return for a touchdown, that after a muff. So it's great to see that. Edge Cooper, a couple of more sacks. The game at times felt it was closer than it should have been, but you saw some complimentary football throughout the game. You got a special teams touchdown. You've got a defensive touchdown. You were able to run the clock at the end of the game, and Le'Veon Moss looking dominant. I think it was a touchdown. It doesn't matter. A&M comes away with the victory. Let's welcome in our post-game crew. Chris Taylor, who's rushing to a wedding, so we'll do him quickly. And, of course, Brandon Leone. I'm going to allow Dalton to put them in there. CT, I know you're in a hurry, man. We'll start things off with you. Just your thoughts after this dominant performance against Arkansas.
Yeah, I thought that, like you said, this game, it felt a lot worse than it really was. Yeah, I think that A&M really dominated both sides of the football. We ran the football well down the stretch. In the first half, we were able to score, I think, on every possession except for the missed field goal. And then that defense, what can you say about their defense? They played lights out today. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They played in the backfield. They reestablished the line of scrimmage all game long, and just, few nitpicking things that we need to clean up as we get ready for Alabama to come in next week. But thought it was a really dominant performance. The game felt a lot worse than what the final score, indicated. And so great win, 2-0 in the SEC. You're back home next week. You got a big one. You got a huge chance to take a step forward to, really put yourself in the mix of this SEC West. So really proud of what the guys did. Big plays on both sides. And so great team win. Looking forward to next week.
Brandon, I heard the stat when I was in the press conference that this is the first time a Jimbo Fisher Texas A&M team is 2-0 in the start of SEC football. This, considering the way last season went, the way the Miami game went, I think we're at a new chapter because this defense is bringing it.
100%. And one of the things that's most encouraging is I think we've been tackling a lot better as well. I mean, you mentioned how much we were getting in the backfield, how much we were pressuring the quarterback, but we've been tackling a lot better the last few games. And I think that's a big thing, man. I was watching the game with my buddy, Coach Daniel Stuckey. He works with us, class of 2000. We were watching them just smoke Jefferson. And Jefferson's so big, and he wouldn't even go down, but they wrapped him up so well. I think I've seen games before where we would hit guys and they'd get away, but even when we'd hit them, we'd wrap up and hold on until the rest of the party got there to bring them down. So I think we held them to below 200 yards offense. And like you said, they had a phenomenal game against LSU, who we know has a great defense. So just the most encouraging thing to me, like you said, we don't need to talk about Miami anymore. They have shown us that they have improved. Durkin's smiling on the sideline, running up and down the field. The guys are flying around the football. I mean, that's the type of things you want to see from this defense. And you saw everybody out there. And I White, I saw a lot of guys tonight that you haven't seen as much or today. And so it was exciting, man. Like y'all said, the score was a little bit closer, but I'm excited for the defense. Also, again, I've been watching it. I think it's great. Our third down conversions, man, we've been doing a lot better on offense this year. This another game, second in a row, over 50% converting on third down, staying on the football field, continuing to drive down, and then giving the defense more time to stay fresh. So a lot of good things to talk about. We'll keep talking about it more, but the defense has been unbelievable, and we got to give Durkin credit because we've definitely all given him a hard time.
CC, I'm not a prophet or anything, but I felt that Le'Veon Moss was due for a big game. I talked about it on Friday's show. It's still kind of a quiet, big performance, but 17 carries. What was it? 107 yards on the game, if I got that number correct. Yeah, 17 carries, 107 yards. I think he got a touchdown on the last play. Just overall, what you're seeing from the running game as it's getting the competition gets higher, but they're delivering each week.
I think that as you look at the backfield as a whole, having Daniels, having Moss, those guys being able to be interchangeable and to be able to come in and ground and pound and be able to get those tough yards as we start getting and we need to salt games away. I think that duo has done a really, really good job. And so, watching him run today, I mean, he's growing on me. He's a dynamic runner. It doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but man, to be 210 pounds, you're running behind your shoulder pads. He gets downhill. He's very decisive in his cuts. He gets north and south, and I think he does an amazing job. And then you have Amari Daniels that he runs tough for his size. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's doing some great things. But I think the biggest thing that we fail or that we don't mention. They're able to pick up those blitzers. They're keeping, they were able to keep Max clean today and keep those blitzers off of him and to be able to step up in pass protection and do a great job. So that backfield, as long as we can continue to do those things, protect Max, be able to be solid in our protections, be able to run the ball, get north and south, not give those turnovers and things up. This backfield can be really special, and they can help us to be able to win some games as we start getting down the stretch. And we need to run the clock to be able to win these close games.
Brandon, I want to talk about this defense from a different perspective because we often compare ourselves to LSU, a team that A&M did beat at the end of last year. You feel like you're trying to catch them there in the SEC. Last week, LSU versus this same Arkansas team. I'm going to read you some of the numbers. KJ Jefferson had a nice game, 21 of 31, 289, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. And they were able to rush for over 100 yards in this game. I'm going to read you the stats, and I just want you to react to it because I think it's just indicative beyond what we know about getting in the backfield, just about how dominant of a performance this defense was. KJ Jefferson had that one pass in the fourth quarter, but other than that, 9 of 17, 132 yards, that one touchdown. Rocket Sanders, who came back from injury, only rushed for 34 yards in the game. As a team, they rushed for 42 when you consider some of the negative yards from the sacks. The defense, that's just part of the sliver of the defense, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they looked good against LSU. I thought that I was a little bit nervous about it coming into the game, even after the performance we had last week, right? Because, we were just looking at Miami, then we're looking at Auburn, and I'm thinking, man, this was a game to me that was going to kind of be indicative of how the season was going to play out in my mind, right? And it's still 1 week at a time, but I was like, man, depending on how we do today is going to change my thought on the trajectory of the season. And then for the defense especially, and man, they got in there, held them below 200 yards. I think they were 5 for 15 on third down. They were flying around the football. Jefferson was extremely pedestrian, and he's a great football player, man. That guy's proven himself over many years in the SEC. And so to see us have that kind of day again, that many tackles behind the line of scrimmage, that many sacks, that good in the passing game, what was their total rushing yards? What did you say it was?
40, let me get it right here, 42 yards.
Man, and that's an extremely talented running back in backfield. So we've proven ourselves as a defense, man. I'm confident heading into the football game this week. I mean, realistically, I think we should expect to win. The way we've played the last few weeks, the way this defense is playing with the 12th man behind us, Max Johnson, like you said, I think the first half he was cruising. I really feel like that pick six to start the half kind of threw him off his rhythm. He seemed a little bit rattled after that the rest of the game because in the first half, he was poised. He stayed in the pocket. He was working his progressions. He was rolling away from pressure, staying in there, making sure he stayed long enough for his receivers, tight ends to get open. I mean, he played like a confident quarterback. Second half, it wasn't as good. So just get, and again, he's first start for the year for him. But someone just Max cannot go head first into a linebacker. Yeah, I love his passion. I love that he's like running hard and getting downfield, but we really need that guy to stay healthy. So I agree. That was making me and my buddy a little nervous. Like, get down. So yeah.
Well, he did it. He did talk about that in the press conference, and he said, "Look, I got to be smarter. When I got the first down, I need to slide." He goes, "But if the game's on the line, I'm going for every inch." Is basically what he said. For both of you, let's talk about that a little bit, but just in the grand scheme of things, there were a lot of mistakes in this game. This could have been a complete blowout. It was still felt fantastic getting the victory, but you had at least three or four drops in the game. Ja'Day Walker had a rough one out there. You had the turnovers. Like this game. And ball starts again a couple of different times, kind of plaguing this team. You missed some field goals as well. So cleaning that up when you have Alabama coming up. Let's talk about the importance of that, CT.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it. We missed 2 field goals, and we pre-snap penalties, and things like that. With Alabama coming to town, there's still a Nick Saban coach football team. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to fight hard. They're going to be well coached on defense, and so you can't start the second half with a pick six, and you can't follow that up with a fumble and give the other team more possessions. And so I really think Jimbo and Petrino, they're going to go back this week, and they're gonna really talk about playing a clean football game. I thought in the first half was one of our better games that we played as a team. Second half, not so much. But the big thing is being able to clean some of those things up. You've got Alabama coming in next week. They're going to be well coached. They're starting to figure some things out. And so we have a good opportunity to really put ourselves in a great position in the SEC West. And as this game is being played in our backyard, we're going to have our fans there, probably 105 plus rocking. And so if we can clean up the pre-snap penalties, if we can make sure that we're executing and hitting things on all cylinders, I honestly don't believe that game will be close. I think we have just as much talent as Alabama. I think that we have the pieces in place right now. It was great to be able to get Max to get his first start. And so now he ought to be able to settle in, be able to play well next week, and hopefully come out and have a big win against Alabama next week.
Brandon?
Yeah, I think one of the things I agree with you, and I feel like we keep saying that, Nuño. So my thought process is like, how good can this football team be if they clean it up for 4 quarters, right? You lost the turnover battle. You gave up a pick six, right? You missed 2 field goals. When you have those 3 things all at one time, you typically don't win the football game, right? But because the defense played so well, and I think we just overall have more roster talent, and that showed this week, and I think that showed versus Auburn. That won't be the case next week. We're very similar to Alabama from a roster talent standpoint, but your margin for error is getting smaller as you start to play these higher level teams like Alabama. And so for me, man, I think about like the start of the second half when you obviously that was a miscue. You throw that weird pick six, you have all the momentum, and then they're right back in the game. Then you go down, you settle for 3. And so these little things we do to keep teams around and let them back in the game, or that's going to come back to bite us. And so build on this momentum, build on all the things that this defense is doing. You're going to have the 12-man wiling out next week. I think Aggies are feeling really good right now. There's a lot of them here in Arlington right behind me. It's a big opportunity for this program to trend back up. Overall, big picture, I really think for Jimbo, for the team, recruiting is going up. You just got a big get. Like, go and win this freaking football game and go and execute because there's a lot in front of us still, man. That's the beauty of losing in non-conference. We still control our destiny to some degree at this point if we continue to take it 1 week at a time and win.
Guys, I'm going to wrap it up here, but a couple comments. First off, depending on when people watch this post-game show, right now, Auburn and Georgia are tied up at 10. Just to give you a little perspective of how good this defense is playing, I'm sure Auburn's made some wrinkles to their offense, but just throwing that out there. Next week, when you take on Alabama, and tell me if you guys follow me here, and CT, you start us off. Jalen Milroe is a better runner than KJ Jefferson, but KJ Jefferson is a better quarterback than Jalen Milroe. The Alabama defense is significantly better than Arkansas. Can we use any of what we've seen here to say how next week could play out?
And I hate going game by game and comparing games. And it's easy to do it, but I try to stay away from it. I mean, you've seen Walker. He had a tough go today. We're going to need him, especially with Evan Stewart having a few nicks and bumps there. He'll bounce back and he'll be fine. But I think when you look at what we bring to the table as far as skill players, um, there's no comparison. I've said it from the very start. I think the only team in the country that has a better group of wide receivers is Ohio State. And, that's just because the two guys that they have up top. So, I think quarterback wise, Max Johnson, he's much better than Milroe. We had Milroe's number last year. We let Alabama off the hook. Now we get them in our place. But when you start comparing games and looking at things like that, it's game by game. Schemes are going to be different. You're going to see things on film, and you're going to adjust and put different wrinkles in during the week. So, I expect all bets are going to be off. Alabama's probably going to have some tricks up their sleeves. We just have to be disciplined, control the line of scrimmage on both sides. If that defense plays like they've played the last couple of weeks, we're going to give ourselves a great chance. And I think we have to run the football, control the clock, and then be able to make those big plays down the field against that, because Alabama loves to press and loves to play man-to-man. I think our guys are better than their guys. And, if we can hit a few big plays down the field, loosen that defense up, I think we win at least by 2 scores next week. That's how good I think this football team is and has a chance to be moving forward.
I'm sorry, Nuno, you're muted. No, I agree with CT, man. I think we can have a big game next week. 2 scores. CT's got those good wedding vibes going on right now. He's feeling really good. I definitely think we have the potential, and I sure hope we do, CT. I promise you, I would love to see that. I think the key to me, looking at these last few games, Nuno, I love the balance that we've had. Today we had 200 rushing yards, 200 passing yards. I agree with CT, though. I do think that we need to pass the football more, man. We got to feed Moose. We got to feed Noah. We got to feed Evan Stewart. It's good to see the tight ends getting some more action again today. I'd like to see the balance of carries continue to trend more towards Moss and then kind of even things out between Amari and Reuben Owens. But if the defense keeps getting pressure on the quarterback, make Jalen Milroe beat you with his arm, which he won't. Get in there, get pressure, get loud, the 12th man going. I think that the recipe is to play clean football, win the hidden yardage battle with special teams, and take care of the football. And I think you can go football game.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate you. CT, enjoy the wedding. Brandon, enjoy the Metroplex. Thanks, guys. All right, that's going to do it here for our TexAgs post-game wrap, brought to you by Higginbotham Insurance, a game where the deep ball worked early on for Texas A&M. They had some mistakes. The defense was very, very dominant. Again, that is 14 sacks over their last 2 SEC games. That's also 30 tackles for loss in their last 2 SEC games. And the big one coming up next week against Alabama. We'll see how that all plays out. We will be covering it tomorrow on the Luchador podcast and, of course, on TexAgs.com and TexAgs Radio when we start our show on Monday morning. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch up with you guys then.